hope I'm not scooping anybody, although it is your scoop, Dan.
Thank you.
There will be an emergency hearing at the High Court in the Royal Courts of Justice at the Strand in the morning to talk about the urgency of Tommy's prison situation.
Wow.
And there will be an outstanding King's Counsel on his feet, making the case before a judge to intervene in how HMP Woodhill is handling Tommy. I won't go any further than that. The reason I feel confident saying this is because I believe it is a public fact. I just haven't seen it published anywhere.
And is this one of the cases that Elon Musk is supporting?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So Elon Musk is supporting 2 cases.
There are growing concerns about Tommy Robinson behind bars at HMP Woodhill. Ezra Levant, the publisher of Rebel News, and Jordan Peterson on his Daily Wire podcast recently admitted the fact that they are even concerned he could die while incarcerated. I'm delighted to say Ezra rejoins me now alongside Montgomery Toms on my Superstar panel. And Ezra, there is growing talk from the likes of businessman Paul Thorpe of a major delegation going to Washington, D.C. to try and get time with the US Vice President J.D. Vance to directly put the case of Tommy Robinson to the Trump administration. Do you have any knowledge or update on where things are at there?
I actually don't, and I'm sorry I can't be of assistance, but I know that a lot of people who are, let's say, Trump adjacent care about Tommy's case. There's a young lady who works for Urban Scoop, which is Tommy's company. Her name is Miss Richter, and I saw her attend some American conservative functions. One's called CPAC, for example, and she scrummed anyone she could find, asking them about Tommy. So, and almost everyone in the U.S. knew what she was talking about. And, you know, you could argue how close to the center of the Oval Office these different people are, but Steve Bannon, for example, I mean, he's fairly influential. And I think Tommy is becoming an American story, not just a UK story. And of course, the most dramatic example of this is Elon Musk, who on New Year's Day tweeted, "Free Tommy Robinson." And he, by my guess, I think he made dozens of tweets about Tommy. And by the way, further to our earlier conversation, Elon Musk acknowledged that Tommy did admit to contempt of court. Yeah. But why is he in solitary confinement for 9 months? That's the problem that the UK has. I don't think anyone in America, including people who want to land a punch on Keir Starmer, I don't think anyone would say you're allowed to violate a court order with impunity. And Tommy pled guilty to that, by the way. But 9 months in solitary, 21 hours a day in a locked cell, your visits being cut off. By the way, they turned off GB News in the prison. Did you hear about that?
Oh,
the
I
one
did.
channel that Tommy liked. I mean, just crazy, weird stuff. Taking his son off his phone call list. There's so many, like, all these things are punitive and petty. And that's, I think, what really pricks the conscience of Americans. And Americans and Canadians look up to the UK as the place where freedom of speech was really born and fought for. And Keir Starmer said to Trump in Vance's face, "Oh no, we really value free speech." Really? Really? Are you sure you do? Because every single day there's proof of these antisocial orders and cops coming around because of a Facebook post. I don't know. So I don't know about this delegation you're talking about, but it wouldn't shock me if they had some sort of interaction, not with Trump himself, and maybe not even with J.D. Vance, but you know, if I were if I were the British government, I would have some sort of a plan on what to say and do if the dam breaks here. Imagine it's something for Elon Musk to tweet. Imagine if Trump tweeted something. I don't think he would. But if J.D. Vance got into a sparring match with, David Lammy over it, or boy, the fireworks, eh?
I know. I mean, I'm desperate for that to happen for obvious reasons. Now, Ezra, for folk who don't know, you have a long history with Tommy Robinson. He even worked for you at Rebel News at one point. I think you found that a little bit difficult. However, you have since supported him financially, emotionally. You have funded lots of his legal cases. So was it a real relief for you when Elon Musk came in and said, actually, he was going to take some of that brunt and actually agree to bankroll, at least I think 2 of the current legal cases that Tommy's facing?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this because it's already in the public domain. And it was not so much a relief, but an amazement. I was struck by the generosity of Elon Musk, that he doesn't just talk the talk, he puts his own skin in the game. And it really happened. And his generosity, he cared. I mean, I was just blown away. When was the last time you ever saw anyone doing that? And I know he's done that for other people in other jurisdictions as well. He's put a lot of his own wealth at risk by being so political. There's people who wish him harm. Half the UK cabinet has talked about arresting him or grilling him or summoning him to parliament. Other countries too, from Germany to Poland to Ukraine, even though he's helping Ukraine with Starlink. No, I guess my number one feeling was amazement, gratitude, and excitement that such an influential man at the heart of the U.S. economy and the heart of the U.S. government is on Tommy's side. So it really, as the kids say, it white-pilled me.
And how did it happen?
Maybe we're going to make it after all.
How did it happen? What can you talk at all about?
Forgive me, I want to keep that confidential because I don't want to lose anyone's trust by telling tales out of school.
And
go ahead.
And then the other day, you appear on Jordan Peterson's highly successful Daily Wire podcast. Last time I checked, this particular episode has over 1 million views on YouTube alone. And this was almost serving as another reminder to Elon Musk, don't forget. And this is where you and Jordan Peterson both expressed your very real fears that Tommy Robinson could be killed or die behind bars. And you actually revealed, Ezra, and I don't know if you could go into a little bit more detail about it, but that you have had a conversation with Tommy personally about that actually happening. And it's a very real fear that you both share.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy hasn't worked for me in a number of years, and I'm not even sure if he worked for me when he worked for me. I don't think Tommy ever has
He doesn't work for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an experience. He's lightning in a bottle. I don't think he's meant to work in a corporation or for a boss, but we're still friends. And I remember when he was put in prison for that court where he was asking the rape gangs, how do you feel about your verdict today? They put him in the hole. They put him in solitary back then, and he couldn't eat food from the prison cafeteria because it was made by the prison gangs, which was an Islamist gang. One of the ways to survive in prison is to join a gang for protection. You join these Muslim gangs by converting. So they run the kitchen. And Tommy's not in the general population where you slide your tray down the cafeteria and someone scoops some stew in your plate. They have a special meal that says Tommy's name and it goes to his cell. So he couldn't eat food made in the prison. He had to buy a tin of tuna at one a day. He lost 40 pounds in prison. He almost died psychologically, physically. And that's what I'm worried about here is I think he's getting enough food, I think. I don't know. I haven't been allowed in to visit him recently.
He has lost, well, from what I'm hearing, Ezra, he's lost a huge amount of weight. When I saw him in December, he was only eating tinned tuna, and on visits, he was able to eat the crisps and that sort of thing. And I think sometimes now they have stopped him being able to
And he's a
purchase that
civil
extra
prisoner.
food.
He shouldn't even be in that prison to begin with. And solitary confinement is where you put people in prison who then commit a crime in prison. How do you punish a murderer who gets in a fight in prison? You put him in solitary for 72 hours to cool him off. You don't put a civil prisoner in solitary for 9 months. That's a form of torture. Now, I got some news for you, Dan. I'm going to break this news today because I don't think this is a secret, but I haven't seen it reported anywhere. Dan.
But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected? Well, I've been thinking increasingly of the need for personal protection too, from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers online. I'm delighted to tell you I have now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, or virtual private network to use the full term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. Let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activity stays safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online, because it also allows you to access your favorite entertainment and news shows and channels, including streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, and Peacock. Or if you have a favorite show, this happens to me a lot, which is blocked on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Plus in your country, within seconds you can be watching as if you're in another country. If you're traveling for work or on holiday, you can also get all your favorite content from home, including sports coverage. This is an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries too. For example, France, which has blocked Rumble for so long now. I can't believe that. Effectively, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. It is true freedom, and you know I'm all about true freedom. A VPN can also save you money because you can get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. There are other benefits of Surfshark too. You can use it on unlimited devices, meaning your entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, there is a world of choice at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if this is your first time using a VPN. Go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark is so confident it's the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you'll get your money back. Go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show.
Next Thursday, the 20th, and I'm pretty sure this is a public fact, so I hope I'm not scooping anybody, although it is your scoop, Dan.
Thank you.
There will be an emergency hearing at the High Court in the Royal Courts of Justice at the Strand in the morning to talk about the urgency of Tommy's prison situation.
Wow.
And there will be an outstanding King's Counsel on his feet making the case before a judge to intervene in how HMP Woodhill is handling Tommy. I won't go any further than that. The reason I feel confident saying this is because I believe it is a public fact. I just haven't seen it published anywhere.
And is this
So
one of
may-
the cases that Elon Musk is supporting?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So Elon Musk is supporting 2 cases. And again, I say this because it's in the public domain. One of them is the bogus charges under the Terrorism Act. You know the Terrorism Act in the UK? They can pick anyone up, anyone, foreign or national, at any port of entry or exit, grill you for 6 hours, and you don't have the right to remain silent. It's astonishing. And they can actually demand the PIN for your cell phone password. And they demanded that of Tommy. He said, no, I have confidential and privileged things in there.
As
So
a
they
journalist,
charged
you
him under
can't
the
give it up.
Terrorism Act.
And he is an independent journalist. You know, you don't need to work for a mainstream media organization, as people like you, Montgomery Toms, prove. How do you feel about the treatment of Tommy behind bars? And do you feel that he is a political prisoner?
Well, it makes me very suspicious because really it's like there's a conscious attack to slander Tommy and sort of disrupt his title and name. But obviously that's been happening for quite some time now, but it's like they don't really want to stop. You know, without going too far away from your point, I think you can even link this and look at the case with the Tate brothers, similar thing there. a lack of, well, complete bias in the news and not interested at all in looking at any alternative sort of viewpoints. And then, of course, in the mainstream media and the BBC and so forth, not interested in exploring that either. Do I think, that there is something to be looked into here and debated? 100% yes. And I don't think that Tommy's, so-called crime warrants this kind of treatment. And if the fact he is getting this kind of treatment based on the so-called crime he's committed, it raises instant alarm bells, because Tommy, and this has already been mentioned, I think is a symptom of something, a symptom of the British people. And if you can take down Tommy, then you can dishearten and disrupt the hope of many, many English, British citizens who thought there was potentially a gateway to a little bit of hope after we've seen such a miserable climate for the past 4 or 5 years.
Very good point. Can I just, Ezra, just finally, though, I've just got a comment in the live chat, and I think this is worth putting to you, because this is the feeling of some folk in regards to Tommy. So John Knox says, Tommy has been in prison for stupid reasons before and will land himself back in prison in the future. He never learns. What would be your response to that?
There's a grain of truth to it, but the old saying by Lavrenti Beria of the predecessor to the KGB, show me the man, I'll find you the crime. The way the British government has inspected everything, they've thrown the book at him. That terrorism act arrest that I just mentioned, that's BS. Theoretically, they could do it to anyone in the world, but why is it they always do that to Tommy? That I have witnessed half a dozen attempts at lawfare against Tommy, and I've never seen it against anyone else. Perhaps Julian Assange is the only other case that is comparable. If the state decides that they're going to come for you in the United Kingdom, they will. I suppose that's a risk with any judiciary. So I would say to Mr. Knox, yeah, there's some truth to it. The lad could perhaps be a little more careful. But Tommy's lightning in a bottle. It's his nature, and it's a double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to him like anyone else, but what makes him so amazing is I truly believe there's a selflessness there. I sat in the court, Dan, and the judge said to him, if you take down that video from your Twitter feed, I will knock months off your prison term. Will you do it? I would have done that. I would have spent time with my family. I would have said, let me do a victory lap. Yeah. Tommy said no. He had the maximum sentence meted out against him. I'm sorry, that's Christ-like sacrifice of yourself. I'm not saying Tommy is a saint, but that one act of sacrificing his own freedom and his health, mental and physical, to make a point for freedom of speech, I'm sorry, that's 1 in 1,000 people who would do that. Would you do that? Would you serve more time in solitary to stand on principle? That's why I love Tommy Robinson. Every once in a while, that guy is the hero that Britain needs. And I accept that he's a rapscallion and a ragamuffin and a troublemaker. I accept all that. So what? My heroes be perfect. Find me a better man and I'll cheer for him. In the meantime, it's Tommy. Give me 30 seconds on one more point. You talked about Jordan Peterson. Why would Jordan Peterson, a man of such standing in America, consort with such a ruffian? Why would Elon Musk? And the answer to that, Dan, is they're not part of the UK peer pressure class system. They're not part of the same thing that caused that law firm to write the letter to me saying we're not going to defend the rape victim because of our reputation. The reason why Americans and Canadians and foreigners find it easier to support Tommy is because we're not part of the, are they going to call me far right that's going on in Nigel Farage's head? Everything ties together because Brits are suffering under peer pressure. How does that peer pressure touch Jordan Peterson? It doesn't. How does it touch me here in Canada? It doesn't. That's the quirk here. That's why foreigners sometimes can see things more clearly in the UK than it can see about itself. That's my observation.
Totally. No, and thank goodness we have you at Rebel News, because you've helped us so much during the pandemic. And now with the Tommy Robinson case, and of course with the Muslim rape gangs as well. So Ezra Levant, the publisher of Rebel News, I'm a massive fan of Rebel News. I recommend everyone follows and supports. And Montgomery Toms, a new voice in the independent British media who you can also subscribe to on YouTube. Such a pleasure to have you both on the Superstar panel today.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source. and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.